UCLA led start to finish, but it truly didn't feel dominant until later in the second half.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for your support. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, where you can start the season off with a big return on FanDuel. New customers get a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Again, visit FanDuel.com to get started. And what we're talking about today is basketball, because the Bruins just absolutely waxed UCLA just absolutely waxed Cal State Fullerton 80-47. They led for 38 and a half minutes, and it took a little bit for the Bruins to pull away, become a truly dominant force. They led this game by 14 at the half. And you think about how that Idaho State game went, right? UCLA led by 14 at the half. They were up 25, about 8 minutes to go. And then the Bengals came back into it and made it, a more respectable scoreline than one would have hoped, and UCLA tailed off at the end of that game. In this game, you could see kind of how Mick Cronin's gears work within his team, and all of a sudden, UCLA in this second half of the game outscored the Titans by 19 points in the second half, 41-22, truly grabbing a hold of a lead that was, not as dominant as I think it should have been over Cal State Fullerton, all right? Like, Fullerton is not a team. Last year, the Big West, I think, had one or two teams go into USC and beat them, right? And then CSUN went in to UCLA and won. Last year, 3 Big West teams had wins over then Pac-12 teams. That's not what I think this Big West conference has, and that's not what UCLA is facing in a gauntlet of mid-major foes. They're not running into a team that's going to go get a conference tournament title or make a first-round upset, at least not now. And here UCLA is, another slowish start, and the thing for Mick Cronin, finally was able to slot Dylan Andrews back in the starting lineup, which means we saw a lot less of Stefanovic in this game. And I think UCLA got back into that rhythm of who is the starting five we're going to see going forward. Well, the Kobe Johnson, the Dylan Andrews, Eric Daly Jr., Tyler Bilodeau, and Sky Clark. 3 of those guys, double figures. And most importantly, UCLA, here's some key things. They shot 50%, so they're shooting at a high clip. They're scoring at will against these teams. And the Bruins had, I believe, 22 assists on 30 field goals. So they're sharing the basketball. It's not individual play. Nobody's going for 20+. And that's not how Mick Cronin wants this team to operate, because on any given night, this team can have somebody else score more and more points. So the leader tonight was on an 80-point output, Kobe Johnson's 12 in 33 minutes. And that was on 4 of 8 shooting. No made 3, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists to go along with 1 turnover in leading the Bruins in minutes. All right. If you add on some defensive stats, Johnson, as I pull him up there, Johnson in this game, hey, let's add it, 6 steals. Dominant. Absolutely dominant. So it's great to see Johnson affecting every single part of the game. He scored. He was a leading scorer. He was UCLA's leading rebounder. He was UCLA's leading assister. And he has 6 steals. All right, that's at least 4 categories where he was truly dominant in this game. And, oh, by the way, in 33 minutes, while being an absolute dog defensively, committed 0 personal fouls. Like, I don't know if I could think of somebody who was so active, so physical in a game where you're grabbing rebounds, you're facilitating, he was scoring to lead the team, and he got 6 steals and wasn't whistled for a personal foul. That's about as perfect as a game. Other than maybe his 1 turnover, that's probably the perfect game Cronin could ask for from any of his players, specifically from what he wants from Kobe Johnson. If that's the type of effort UCLA gets, and no, they're not going to get 6 steals out of him. They're not always going to get 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. But if he is affecting games as cleanly as that, where he's not hurting them with personal fouls, he's staying on the court. He struggled to stay on the court against Idaho State, against Cal State Fullerton. He did. And then all of a sudden, the Titans had a total of, 21 turnovers? And UCLA dominated in that category to the tune of 27 points off turnovers. So they made Cal State Fullerton pay. And we saw the true strength and the importance And the reason why Cronin went to go get a guy like Kobe Johnson when he was available after Andy Enfield left, it's like, hey, yes, I know the cross-town thing, the captaincy over at USC during UCLA-USC week, but man, that is absolutely important to what UCLA needs because the defense is still growing, right? We're not going to see the pieces be as glued as we want them to be when they're playing some of the bigger names coming up, right? This isn't the biggest test defensively, but if Johnson's going and stealing candy from the baby, and then he's scoring too, and maybe laughing on the bench while doing it, absolutely fantastic night from him. Dylan Andrews getting back in the fold of things with 23 minutes and starters minutes with 4 assists and 8 points. Still got to get that shot down. He's been shooting it at a little bit of a lower percentage. Again, last year he shot the bulk of the time or needed to for a good portion of the season while running the Mick Cronin offense in 38 minutes. This year, a reduced role, but how does he put himself into more successful spots? So again, UCLA shot well, shared the basketball, forced a lot of turnovers, and instead of not exactly folding, but really just playing 32 minutes, UCLA played a full 40-minute effort in this game. And we're going to highlight more things next on Locked On UCLA. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you gotta do is pick more or less and at least 2 players for a shot to win up 100 times your cash. And you can run your season all along on PrizePicks. Let's check this out. PrizePicks now offers, hey, you want to use Venmo? You can get quick and easy deposit withdrawals into your account all sports season. And hey, they put their members first. So with all withdrawals, they're fast and secure. You can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. And it's the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Again, you don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So check it out. Download the app, use the code LOCKEDONCollege, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, Locked On College, $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, cruising on here, second segment. Let's go after what UCLA looks like after another dominant mid-major victory where we're just counting down the days, the minutes until we start Big Ten play, counting down the time until UCLA goes to play someone like Arizona and Phoenix as they get prepared to then take on Gonzaga, North Carolina. I actually had the game on in the background, and I think at the moment Arizona is losing while I'm recording this right now against Duke at home, which, you know, if UCLA plays a 2-loss Arizona team, they're still looking for that big-time win on their resume because they lost to, Wisconsin, I think? And then they're playing Duke at home. As I look at the score, and, you know, it's going on behind me. Now let's go over to some more flashy points for UCLA. What was important? 2 things. In the battle of the backcourt, it was not exactly the best night from Sebastian Mack. And this is what I said last time. He scored, 21 points on 6 shots. UCLA cannot rely on him to do that. His attacking and slashing role, Mick Cronin loves, needs, and UCLA would like to get 10 free throws out of him every so often. But that is not an every game guarantee. Now, as a starter, he's not always going to have the ball in his hands. And if he did, then he might be someone who could lead the country in free throw attempts and maybe free throw makes. But Mac, nothing against him. You're not going to go into Big Ten road arenas and earn 12 free throws a night. That's just not going to happen. It can on some nights, but you go back-to-back nights and teams are going to guard you differently. They're going to let you attack and then maybe defend at the last minute or defend without fouling. This time, 4 points, 1 for 7, 3 personal fouls, and 20 minutes off the bench. All right, and he's not going to need to put up humongous numbers every single game. And that's what Mick Cronin, I think, said in the postgame. This is what I told him, Mac. Come here, get coached up to where you need to be, and choose the hard route. Don't choose the easy route, and then you will be even better. So we're only seeing the early stages of the UCLA sophomore guard Sebastian Mack getting in his development, where there's the highs, still the lows, but hopefully a little more opportunities into successful roles. I think Cronin will keep him as long as he can on the bench and coming off the bench. Not exactly on the bench, but a 6-man playing 20 minutes That is huge for UCLA. Now, the one guy Cronin is going to have a tough time not giving more minutes to, Trent Perry. 10 points, 12 minutes, 4 of 5 shooting. He hit 2 of 2 threes. UCLA hit 6 for the game. Perry, whenever the ball's in his hands, I just feel like I'm very confident. If UCLA needs a 3, I want him to shoot the ball as a true freshman. And that's a big, tall order for UCLA to put into a true freshman's hands after last season. Cronin is, I think, very reluctant to play younger players who he does not believe are ready, right? That's why Eric Freeney is redshirting. That's why we're seeing Brandon and Devin Williams redshirting this year as players who played a little bit as true freshmen. They're redshirting as sophomores, not something you see as often in a non-injury-like scenario. And here we are with Trent Perry, who is just a gifted athlete, a gift to UCLA late in this recruiting class. And here he is performing in limited supply, where I think Cronin maybe hiding him a little bit, holding on to say, hey, I don't want to ask the freshmen to do too much, which he thought last year he asked all these players to do too much, too soon, right? From Mac to all the international freshmen, like not even playing Feeble when many players and many fans were asking for Feeble to play. He just couldn't get off the bench. Now he like many of these players are gone. Trent Perry, man, that is a true freshman who is ready to play. And I wonder if he's going to contend for a Big Ten all-rookie team, all right? Because it's going to be tough in the conference when you're facing off against Rutgers and they got 2 5-star freshmen. You've got a lot of teams that have good freshmen. But Perry is certainly going to be able to contend for a conference freshman-level, rookie-level team in his this year. He is that good. And I wonder if Dylan Andrews can't play up to par, he still needs to work on the shot, or if Sky Clark is not doing much, right? Sky Clark was brought in to be a scorer. 24 points. He only took 4 shots and had 4 rebounds with 3 assists, but he is not shooting the ball like I thought UCLA would have him do. He just is not in a role at this moment where, in this way the score was, he took less shots in this game than a true freshman. And this is a guy who's been to 3 schools. He's put up numbers everywhere he's been, and he comes to UCLA, and it's not panning out in the way I thought it would. Why is that? Is that just the Mick Cronin effect? I know he likes to coach guys hard. We've seen a lot of growth. But sometimes when you bring that guy in, it's going to start a little awkward in the beginning stages. And that's when you bring in all the transfer pieces, all the big, bold takes. I'm not the only guy I've heard that has come in and said, all right, UCLA is going to a third weekend. Right? I believe I've heard Don McClain come out on different radio shows saying, hey, yeah, like they're going to be a good contending team in January. I think even Tim Cates, right, host the UCLA football pregame show, has come out and said, yeah, I think they're Final Four bound. That was his preseason take, and that's been basically my preseason take with this team. But the time needed to gel is very clear, which is why this schedule very early on is boring, brutal, and bad. It's the new wave because a lot of these non-conference tilts are the big games away from home. But the home scheduling, UCLA just has to sit there and get 5-6 games. And if they're not good mid-majors this year, they will be boring games like it was this time. 80-47. And the Bruins working out the kinks in the backcourt. Perry trying to earn more minutes. Dominic Harris still a no-show, but Adai Mara making his face known. So let's talk about the big men and still another no-show from the backcourt with the big shooter. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle the rough mornings after drinking. So this is how it works. You drink, the alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. And it's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. But just remember, make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel great and feel your best tomorrow. Again, the steps. Step 1, drink the pre-alcohol. Make it the first drink of the night. 2, drink responsibly. Pace yourself. All right? Pace yourself and get a good night's sleep. 3, enjoy tomorrow. And you'll wake up feeling refreshed to take on the city. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnCollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order and use Locked On College at checkout. Again, ZBiotics is backed with 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and use the code LockedOnCollege at checkout for 15% off. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to know and need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So no, you get a hunch in the middle of the game and everything. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You can start with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Again, that's $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel.com, never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So where are we at with this UCLA team, right? Here are some projects in the first few games of the season, right? Here are the four you wonder where this team is going to see using these guys in the part of the season. Right? I talked about Perry, but Perry's earning minutes is impressed, so he's not in this bottom half of the group that is stuck where I think Cronin wants to use him, doesn't really know how to. One guy kind of stands out from the rest because he's already been productive. Here are these four guys, in my opinion. You've got Dominic Harris, billed as the great three-point shooter. He was lighting it up during the scrimmage and hasn't brought that to the season and has hardly found any time. Dominic Harris played 5 minutes in this game. UCLA won by like 30, 40 points. And UCLA can't get him on the court to get his confidence up. And I'm just wondering how long that's going to take. Is it going to be another Elon Feeble situation? Is this just Dom Harris, the late coming to campus, having to wait all summer while the rest of the guys were all there? There's something a little off about that situation. I'm wondering where it's gonna click. Maybe it's just, hey, getting your feet wet. It's a new situation for him. It's his third school. Scott Clark hasn't really lit it up just yet. It's his third school as well. So I've noticed these guys that are on their third spot, they're getting really used to the Mick Cronin life. All right, Clark is out there earning starting minutes, but the offensive explosion has not hit either one of them. But there's a reason one's playing over the other. I can't exactly tell you why. I don't know that reason. But one is earning those starting minutes, playing 24 minutes a game. Dominic Harris, though, the one thing we have to note, this is a guy that has been very injury-plagued. And I haven't read or heard anything about it, but this is a guy that at Gonzaga was hurt, had to miss the last part of the season when he was at LMU, despite the high scoring numbers, more than 14 a game, and a 45% three-point clip. So I just wonder how that's all accumulating in his third stop in the college realm. So that's something to look. How long can UCLA play well against really good teams when what is supposed to be their best incoming player at shooting the three has not been able to do so or live it by the statistics? Now, last year, even Lazar Stefanovic struggled early. A lot of pressure on him coming from the running Utes of Utah. And eventually, at the end of the year, him alongside Dylan Andrews with a much worse shooting team got red hot. Stefanovic, a reduced role this year, has seen an uptick in three-point shooting percentage. And he also did perform well down the stretch last year when UCLA had a mini hot streak going into the Pac-12 tournament. And that's where I got with Stefanovic next to 7 minutes, no shots, 2 personal fouls, didn't have an effect on a game after starting last 2 to 3 games straight. So Stefanovic is in this hybrid role where if UCLA is missing a guard, right, if it's Clark or if it's Andrews, Cronin is going to lean on Stefanovic to start the game well, and then he might actually, put in a Perry or maybe move back to the starting line. But he likes those guys in these roles specifically, that Stefanovic is the guy that might play 20 to 25 one night versus 7 or fewer in the next night, right? That is where it all moves in his moving around role. So those are guys in the backcourt that are struggling to get time more and more, and it just depends on injuries and production and what Cronin needs from a game-to-game basis. Now, the 2 players that can truly transform UCLA's physicality this season, Adai Mara and William Kyle III. Mara, 10 points, 5 boards, 13 minutes, some big-time dunks, and then William Kyle as well, 8 points, 4 for 4, a rebound and assist in 14 minutes. So combined between their 27 minutes, you had 8 of 10 shooting, 18 of UCLA's 20 points. So close to what? If I do the math real quick, a fourth of the points coming from the big men off the bench. And it doesn't have to be one of them. The two of them combined. UCLA wants some third added big physical body in the post. I think this team is designed by Mick Cronin to have Kyle or Mara be the five. That's why I was preseason predicting, like, hey, I know Daly Jr., he did a lot of good things at Oklahoma State, and he might be shifting into a 3 role, and then you have Bilodeau at the 4, maybe Johnson at the 2, and then you just rotate who's the starting guard or figure it out based on an offense-defensive scenario. If one of those two guys can figure it out, and Cronin's going to probably lean on Kyle first, with him being more athletic and playing a little bit more of a game, he is someone who's going to play in the Bilodeau Daly lineup, or at least play in the starting lineup when that happens first, I think, before Mara. But if you can bring Mara off the bench, and I know Cronin had a lot to say about, hey, I don't really like how Mara's playing. That's why he didn't barely play against Idaho State. Much improved. Those guys played very well in this game against Cal State Fullerton, and it showed. It truly did. And UCLA as well, 40 points in the paint. They outscored the Titans plus 22 points in the paint, even though they didn't have the rebounding edge, which is a little frustrating. So UCLA shot well. Fullerton shot 29%. It's because the Titans had 13 offensive rebounds. So the problem why Cronin probably can't go as much with these guys is, Mara's grabbing 5 boards, but Kyle's only grabbing 1. And we need Mara in those minutes to grab every single rebound. He should be a rebounding machine. He's not the physical beast that Zach Edey was and has been the last couple of seasons at Purdue, leading his team to a national championship game appearance. And I'm not sure he's going to be in that role as a sophomore, maybe let alone a junior. But any positive impact, rebounding and low post scoring at an efficient rate will grow UCLA's chances to win a Big Ten championship. Even more so for William Kyle. The development he can have, the comfortability when he receives the ball in the post and doesn't turn it over and becomes more of a weapon when it comes to rebounding the basketball. There's no reason UCLA should have been out-rebounded in this game. Getting out-rebounded plus 3 when you're shooting much better, allowing 13 offensive rebounds to Cal State Fullerton is not acceptable. It just is not. Not in any way, shape, or form. Normally, when the team shoots worse, the other team grabs more rebounds. So the big men who played well offensively need to become more of a threat defensively. Now, Kyle obviously is the defensive player of the year reigning from the Summit League, but needs to start grabbing the rebounds like it and being more comfortable offensively. At Damara, it's the conditioning, it's utilizing the newfound strength Cronin's been talking about when he flexes those biceps, and then turn it into a complete full court player where he can go up and down, do something defensively, hustle down, get a lob, dunk it, be capable defensively, and then find a nice assist, and the next thing go with the baby skyhook. All the things Cronin touted prior, before, and after his freshman year for his Spanish sophomore. All in all, UCLA continues the dominant ways in this probably forgotten portion of the schedule, which is going to be looked at as the building portion. It's not the games anybody's going to remember unless it's close. Remember last year, UCLA had to cling on at the very end to win against UC Riverside, thanks to Dylan Andrews. Now, the Bruins have to put this game effort and turn it into something, right? Work on the things they need to in practice, which is rebound, but is still very much a struggle. Find ways to unlock the shooting from downtown. UCLA, 33% from the floor, and they're shooting much worse than last year's team was from 3. So those are the things UCLA's got to go back to the drawing board, go back to practice. And some of that, some guys haven't caught fire yet. They haven't found their footing. And when they do, and if they do, maybe it's not a matter of when, but if, then UCLA can be a truly transformational opponent in the weeks to come. But until then, we can't wait for the next one. So get your hands up, Bruins fans. It's an 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA, fight. This has been Locked on UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.